right? Now the
Oh,
description is accurate, but it's not a demonstration. So, for example, uh, um, what should be done is that the conversation should continue, but you continue your conversation with a lowered tone of voice. Yeah, so that the importance of the it is difficult. It's really difficult to do because look, if I've got a group of students that I'm working with, which I do from time to time, and there's something very important that I want to tell them. Now, I've got two choices. Number one, I get
mhm.
really excited and very
Yes.
animated about it, or
Oh,
or I drop the level of my voice. I speak more quietly, more softly. I use less words because the
mhm,
words are so important.
mhm,
And and this to people with life experience, they understand what is happening. I've had situations where people say, "Why are you talking to me quietly? Why is your voice so quiet?" Because I want you to focus. I want you to listen to what I'm saying because it's important. Because volume replaces content. When
mhm.
you don't have content, you turn up the volume. And it's the same as people will say that volume replaces intellectual conversation. If you don't have an argument, you argue. And what I mean by that is if
Mm,
you don't have a perspective, if you don't have validation for what it is that you have, if you don't have an explanation, if you don't have studies, data, information, science, examples, then you just use volume. And and
yes,
that's
yes.
and that's the law of the jungle. That's gorilla, right?
Mm,
This is in my head. So the greatest problem we have is in managing ourselves.
mm,
That really is the greatest problem we have. Right? Managing other people is something that we can find a way to do, but managing ourselves is always much more complex. So in the case, and I recommend that all couples do couples therapy because of the fact that there's a little bit of space to get out some of the stuff that's in our head that we can't get out normally because we're so busy uh, inside the bubble of life that we live
mm,
within, and this gives us a little bit of space outside of the bubble. And at the same time, you need to find a really good couples therapist, and a lot of them are actually really bad. They don't they know all the social norms, but they don't
mhm.
understand what it is that's necessary, and they don't help with resolution. So there's a negative side to that as well. But if it's something that you want to do, it has to be presented to your husband as you doing it for you, because it has to be presented as I'm really stressed, or
Yes, 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 yes.
I've got I know that I need this bit of space to help with something, and I'd really like to go and do this, but I'm a little bit scared
Mhm.
to do it. Could you come and hold my hand, please? How we use our time becomes a reflection of how our lives develop. So time, but we understand like time spent on pointless, useless activity leads to pointless, useless things in our lives, and an argument with your kids is usually a pointless, useless result. So,
Mm,
um, and also watching TV is avoiding reality.
mm,
So when he's watching TV, he can't have a deep, meaningful conversation with you, and he can't have a deep, meaningful conversation with his children. Um, he can't connect with you, he can't connect with them, and that's avoiding reality, and that never has a positive effect in the long term because we have to we have to deal with the problems that we have here and now, and where that's visible biologically. And I mean, you have to go to the toilet, right? It's like, oh, I have to go to the toilet because if I don't go to the bathroom, there'll be a big mess on the couch, right? But mentally, we have to do the same thing mentally, right? We have to
Mhm.
realize that the psychological need and address the need
Mhm.
now the same way we realize the biological need. But we're not addressing the psychological need if we're just being like a vegetable in front of the screen. It just delays the inevitable. I mean, what will come, either
Mhm.
sooner or later, but it will manifest itself. It's it's just a question of how long, and if there's a different process that can be put in place to make it better, maybe sometimes reverse it or slow it down, which requires new habits, one of which would be consulting with a professional person about um, relationship dynamics, which is which is extremely important because what we don't deal with in here manifests itself physically in the world around about us. And a fight physically is a fight inside of our own head. And this is this is actually related to, I was writing an article this morning, and I was writing about this in my article this morning. The main theme of the article is fear. That I think there's two motivations. There's love and there's fear. You do something because you absolutely love it, or you love the person and you're in it, or and when you love, you don't. You, when you love, the consequence is irrelevant because the process is beautiful, right? And you don't have to worry about the end because you're doing it for the right reason.
Mhm.
And the other motivation is fear. When you're running away from something and you don't want to deal with something and you're scared to face what you need to face, but we all know that we need to face the problems on a daily basis. Um, and it's I don't know. I'm thinking about reading the article. It'll take like 3 or 4 minutes. Let me. It's not finished yet. It's
Mm.
99% done, but there's a couple of
Okay.
words and sentences because I haven't done the final draft. But okay, here we go. Dealing with adversity is a daily process. Know neither yourself nor your enemy, and you are certain to be defeated. If you don't know yourself and you don't know the other person in the conversation very well, then you will lose. There, there, the greatest challenge is in self-knowledge and self-expression. We all wish to change in one way or another, yet we are in some way which we cannot see inhibited or stopped from changing, or we're simply frightened. And this is that you can't see inside the brain. We seek shelter but gain no advantage from leading a sheltered life. We fortify or we build forts or walls around ourselves to protect us from our enemies, but most of the time we just end up trapped within our own homes. We have to learn to get comfortable with the part of human nature known as resistance. And that's in order to progress. And I think that paragraph describes a person sitting at home watching TV rather than dealing with the more important issues that
Mhm.
are around about.
Mhm.
And that's the first of 4 paragraphs. I don't know if you want the second paragraph, or I don't know if you.
It was the first one from
That's
from.
the first paragraph of the article.
Uh-huh. Okay, you can read it. Yes,
Okay.
I'm hearing.
Excuses justify your own slavery to the ideas perpetuated by others. This
Mhm.
is your partner's father. Okay,
Mhm.
right. He's a slave to the ideas of
Mhm.
his partner. Apathy is apathy is the inability to forgive yourself and your own inadequacies and push forward regardless of what you face. So doing nothing is because you can't forgive yourself for not being perfect. It's a Christian principle. We have to forgive ourselves for not being perfect. The chase is always on. We're always following something. The 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 daily form of your adversity may appear to change, but it is always there. We always face some challenge daily. And it may appear that it's a different challenge. Look, the arguments might be different, but the reason for them remains the same. Walk within the proximity of your own power. I mean, use what you've got. Stretch to attain your goals, but don't overreach. Rise above and beyond victimhood. Don't play the victim. And that's not relevant here. But anyway, the victim always seeks to blame external forces for their internal problems. Yeah, we all do it. Give me 2 minutes. I'll just read the next 2 parts. Yes. 2 minutes. Okay. There's a section on fears, but I'm not going to read that. I'm just going to jump to the next paragraph. Or maybe I will read it.
Okay.
Suddenly it all seems very important. Sooner or later, it is time to face your fears. It is time to confront your demons. It is time to stand up against the things that slow you down. 6 points. Number 1, fear not that which is good or enlightened. We have a tendency to be afraid of good things, and it's just not practical. Number 2, fear in response to things that are harmful is natural. There's always an element of fear involved in anything in life, because bad things can happen all the time. Fear is an indication of what you must seek. What you fear is where you must go. 4, fear is an expression that begs to be understood. Fear, when you can see a person is visibly fear, it means they're transmitting to you some piece of information that is very important. Like when you say to your partner, "Oh, I'm worried about this," what you're giving your partner a really important piece of personal information. There's something really deep inside. Fear is a mix of hopes and desires and challenges. It's not just one thing. And fear is an emotion fear is an emotion around which you need to center yourself. Fear is very often in the middle of what is happening for a lot of people. And so you've got to realize that the central part is fear. And those are 6 principles related to how fear affects what we do every day. Can I continue? Or
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Next part. Don't project your fears onto others. Classic example. Are you okay? Meaning I'm not okay, right? Recognize in others that which you have seen in yourself and help them to come to terms with the issues that represent themselves. And this means that we can only help people with things we understand, and we can only understand what we deal with inside of ourselves. The most real and relevant of conflicts is an inner war that rages in the heart and in the mind of the individual. We have to resist the opportunity not to resist. We must fight with ourselves to gain control of the world around about us. Comfort is seductive. Comfort is seductive. It's nice to be comfortable. Comfort is seductive and enchanting, but darkness arrives in stages. Right, it's like I'm describing how night comes. Yeah, night just doesn't arrive like that. It comes slowly, and that's the conflicts. The conflicts are the same. Darkness comes in stages, often unannounced, always creeping slowly. A true king or queen is a man or woman who has the ability to dominate over their own suffering, which is this idea that we have to get above this feeling of being a victim. I'm a victim, it's happening to me, and there's nothing that I can do about it, and the world is like that. And this is the powerlessness that we've picked up in childhood, where our parents didn't let us be ourselves. We had to be somebody for them. We couldn't be, it's the I couldn't be me. I had to be somebody for them. Last part. Decisions to make a change are not singular ideas, but are a recommitment that we must consistently return to in order to be successful. And this is the problem that you explained, where we talk about it, he says it's okay, and then 1 week later, it's back to the way it was. It changes for a week, but then it goes back. Mm-hmm. And so the problem is not in understanding the problem. The problem is in the not being consistent with it, not exchanging the bad habit for a good habit. The result explains the action. People and situations must connect together and fit together. The puzzle in life is bringing together the different pieces of your own personality in a way that you and others can understand. Professional people realize very early on, that means when they're young, professional people realize that they will wake up and face the same demons every day. They're not going to go away. The demons that you have today will probably be the same demons that you have in 20 or 30 years. And that's part of the teaching of the Bible, right? They're not going away. They're there and they will stay there. You have to fight the same fight. In the end, mastery of your art is refusal to yield to the temptations that surround you. In the end, if you want to become a master of your art is your business or your life, then you have to learn to say no to the negative things and say yes to the positive things. You will not reach your fullest potential if you don't face the facts as soon as possible that all this needs to be done now. The true self is in everybody and must be awoken. It's the individual choice. So, and I read that because a lot of what you said to me was what I was trying to express in this article. It's an individual process. The best way to manage the world around about us is manage ourselves first.
Yes. So
your husband leaves work early, jumps on a motorbike, and drives off somewhere. The back of my mind says rage.
Right.
The back of my mind says that's rage. Now it could be he just loves motorbikes. I don't know, but the back of my mind says it's rage because it's escaping a place that you don't want to be. But maybe it's just nice and it's out and it's freedom. Maybe that's his meditation. I don't know. Right? We all meditate in different ways, or we all need to meditate in different ways as well. One more thought. I'm going to give you one more thought. Don't let management replace partnership. Here's a personal thing from my perspective. I don't like it when maybe this element of my personality is similar to yours. I don't like other people managing my time. And I specifically don't like it when other people give me their idea of what I should do. I don't think that's fair, because what I think is fair is that if somebody says to me, "Oh, okay, you've got that idea. Do you think that there's another way that we could do this?" I think that is fair, because you're not projecting what you want onto other people. You're leaving the space open for suggestion. Do you think that there's another way that we could manage this situation? Do you think there's another way that we could do this where we could have a successful outcome or a successful result? Now, if the other person has no idea, which is possible, the other person has no idea, then you can introduce how would you feel about doing it like this? And I'm asking this because I don't know, and maybe you won't like it, and if you don't like it, it's okay, but I have to ask because it's in my mind. Yeah, there's a it's a habit. It's a habit that I would say movers. Movers are people who make things happen, and movers have this habit of managing things consciously and subconsciously. Um, and this might work very well in business, but it doesn't work very well in the home environment because the home environment needs to be a situation of partnership
Mm.
rather than management so that people have their own space to grow and find out what it is that they need to know. Um, it's 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 little things that little things that we don't take care of build up over periods of time, and
Mm.
it's uh, it gets harder to deal with this as we get older because everything tends to be less flexible, both physically and psychologically.
Mm.
And that's why it's good to always get some kind of professional perspective in relationships. Although it's also good to self-study and pick up as much information as we can because I know a lot of people who have picked up bad habits from trying to do the right thing and bad ideas from trying to do the right thing, and and they don't deal with the source of the the problem. They just try to manage the problem, and that's what that's what management is. Management is trying to solve and avoid problems, whereas partnership is respecting what is as being what is, and um, we I think we're all trying to manage ourselves, and this has an effect on other people. It's what we call the residual effect on other people. The the frustrations are all from within ourselves. Anyway, I will what I will do is I will finish the article and I will send a copy to you. And I think I said before the idea is not to limit ourselves,
Mm.
to realize we have a lot of bad habits that limit us within what we want to do, and to basically to focus on the positive elements. That's
Mm.
how that's how we mainly get better. We work with what we know we're good at, and we tend to manage the things that we're not so good at, right?
Mm.
You know what flows and works, we don't do anything with it because it's working. But what doesn't flow
Yes,
and work,
of course.
we tend to manage it in some way. And also, if we use manage as a verb, manage as a verb means um, if I ask you, did you manage, meaning did you do it,
Mm-hmm.
means that it was a difficult or complicated activity.
Mm-hmm.
So with the idea of manage something, we're always talking about complicated,
Mm-hmm.
complicated, complicated. It's always the concept, and a lot of the solutions, and if you look at a lot of the great business writers, the simplify, simplify, simplify.
Mm-hmm.
Keep the
Yes.
process clear, keep the
Mm-hmm.
process transparent,
Yes.
keep it simple, focus on one thing at a time,
Mm-hmm.
um, where possible, and then hopefully it all has some kind of positive result.